It's always difficult to call out your friends, but you know, I think it has to be done in this case because I don't know why everybody's being so hard on the Ironheart. Admittedly, it's a little longer than I thought it would be and a little more spicy, but maybe it's going on Hulu. I think it was a bold choice to race swap Riri Williams to an Asian woman. I found it to be an extensive, deep, and exploratory character study of... Oh, 1 second. Sorry. Yeah.
That's the wrong Ironheart?
What?
Yes, the Japanese porno.
Maybe you should cut that out in editing.
Nerdrotic.com.
Friends, at time of recording, the conversation is dominated by the divisiveness of the Superman film. And you know who the happiest people on Earth are? Well, they just so happen to be from the happiest place on Earth, Disney Marvel, because it made everyone forget about the strategically dumped Ironheart, which, unsurprisingly enough, turned out to be an unpopular show based on an unpopular character from an unpopular comic.
Iconic.
But if you were somehow under the impression that X, Twitter, or TikTok, or Instagram are actually the real world, you might think differently. The most hilarious part wasn't the Disney shills because they're gonna do what they're gonna do. It was Disney Marvel trying to convince other human beings that they actually believed in Ironheart.
Ironheart premieres today. It's all been leading to this. Isn't that exciting?
As a true Marvel fan, I'm very excited, locked in, laser focused. This is the real deep dive into who she is.
Dominic Thorne, I have seen all of the first 3 episodes of Ironheart. I love it. We have so much to discuss.
Ironheart, such a great character. It was really exciting for me bringing that character into the MCU.
Long story short, Iron Man loves Ironheart.
That's so crazy.
Dominic, how's that make you?
Right.
And by gum, it almost worked. The Rotten Tomatoes critic score is a certified fresh 77%, but if you go to the top critics, it's 60%. If you go to Metacritic, it's 57. If you go to IMDb, it's 4.4 out of 10, which is all still too high. And the Rotten Tomatoes audience score is all over the place, and no, you can't trust it for films since the debacle of Captain Marvel back in 2019, and now you have to jump through flaming hoops, but you don't have to do that with TV, which makes it more susceptible to review bombing both ways, which still makes it slightly more credible, but maybe not. Before Ironheart premiered, it was at 32%, which obviously isn't fair, but then it magically shot up to 70%, then 72%, but then it dropped down to 58%, and now it's at 48%, which is still too high. Again, the best part about this is the people who are defending this show not knowing that Marvel themselves didn't believe in it. Never mind the fact, despite bringing back Robert Downey Jr. last minute, this was the least marketed show in their history. Never mind the fact that it had been sitting on the shelf for 2.5 years.
You've finished wrapping, correct? And this is 6 episodes?
Is it? Yeah.
Correct.
Is it more? No, it's 6.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Are you there?
It's, full transparency, it's been a while.
And I'm sure Kevin Feige and Disney Marvel didn't want you to notice that they broke from the norm and practically pulled an echo by essentially releasing the entirety of Ironheart within a week. Marvel released a new Fantastic Four trailer on the day they released Ironheart, and the 3-episode finale was dropped just a mere 8 days before the Superman fan screening. But the best bit was...
I know something you don't know.
Thanks to this wonderful gig I have, due to your support, I get to talk to people around Hollywood, directors, producers, executives, people who work in and around Universal, in and around Warner Brothers, and in and around Disney Marvel. As with a lot of other content creators in this space, and I don't do the sources thing in my videos because that's not what I do, but in this case, I'll read you one because it's funny from somebody who works in or around Disney Marvel, and I quote, "Ironheart, and I say this wholeheartedly, is the worst thing we've ever put out." This person continues, "They re-edited the show about 10 times. It was insanity." So let's get into the most ill-conceived notion, ill-conceived plan, and ill-conceived release Disney Marvel has ever had, where Kevin Feige and company would be better off if they had never released it at all. It truly was Marvel's acolyte. Welcome to the supercut of Ironheart.
Dominic Thorne is back as brilliant engineer Riri. Is that right? Riri Williams.
How do you think Ironheart will shift the narrative for the coming generations.
Yikes. I love that Lyric looks like us, you know what I mean? Long nails, long hair, popping out here.
After starting on a Marvel show, like, where do I go from here?
It's directed by 2 black women.
Black Girl Magic!
I think we have a very special message. I think you're gonna recognize who this is.
For 400 years, that word has kept us down. Took a whole lot of time just to get up that hill. Now we up in the big leagues, getting our turn back.
How does that make you feel that one of the original Avengers saying that?
Ironheart loves Iron Man too. Get on the bandwagon. It's here. We're here. Tony's on the bandwagon, so you know what's the problem.
Exactly.
RDJ is here.
Right.
It's nice here. Good morning.
You went full retard, man. An imbecile. Like the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived. Just farting in bathtubs and laughing your ass off.
Man.
It's high science, man. It's art form. You an artist.
Oh my God, thank you.
Never go for a retard.
I've put this off long enough. Let's talk about Ironheart. Now, credit where credit is due, a show that clearly knows it's one and done, doesn't waste any time, and alienates the audience right off the bat, because this is how it starts.
Here we go, okay.
Just to let you know, your girl finna be bigger than Johns.
Right.
Bigger than Gates.
Right.
Bigger than Pym.
Right.
Bigger than Stark.
Yeah.
Combined.
No.
The only thing your girl finna be is as big of a failure as the Marvels. But to be fair, she could potentially be as big of a villain as Bill Gates. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, Riri's friend Natalie says this.
What do you want more than anything? A knife with Thor and his hammer.
And his hammer? Well, I guess that's on brand for Disney.
You flipped too hard, damn it!
Anyway, most of the first episode is dedicated to getting to know Riri Williams, and I gotta say up front, she is the definition of grace and humility.
I'm here because I can be the greatest inventor of my generation. I'm gonna need the equivalent of a whole vibranium mountain to be great. Due respect, Dean Troy, what do I get out of matriculation? Some job in Palo Alto with a tiny window and a bunch of guys I have to pretend to like? I wanna build something undeniable. You want me to be small, but I refuse.
Now, it's here where she gets called out on her and it's also an unintentional description of the show.
That's a hot pile of garbage.
But then it's right back to it.
You, Riri Williams, are making an iron suit.
People are obsessed with them. I could build 1,000 other things, and no one would care. But if I could build one of them, better than everyone else, people got no choice but to respect me.
And it wouldn't be Disney Marvel if they weren't taking a shot at the legacy character that she was supposed to be replacing.
I need cash, money. Do you think Tony Stark would be Tony Stark if he wasn't a billionaire?
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
How come you're not working at, like, I don't know, Stark Industries or something?
He contributed immensely to the field, so I won't roast Tony Stark off rip. But I don't have $1 billion.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
But it doesn't end there, because the crack, or more accurately described, on-crack writing team at Disney Marvel attempts to make Riri even more endearing by having her get expelled for selling completed tests to students.
You sold completed assignments to students at every school in the area.
After that, Riri steals the Ironheart suit that she thinks she's entitled to because she built it with money from a grant.
She built that with her own grant money.
And she flies home to Chirac with the help of the MIT AI, who's a gay pencil.
Sup, I'm Trevor, MIT's teaching robot and virtual operational resource, and your very own AI assistant.
Violent.
And your very own AI assistant.
Now, if the show ended with her being expelled, 10 out of 10. Unfortunately, it didn't, but if you're a viewer out there who made it past this part and to the end of the first 3 episodes, you deserve reparations.
Hey, yo, get off the street.
So Riri makes it back home, cut off from her gay pencil AI and broke. And through a series of contrived events, she runs across another race-swapped character from the comic books, the Hood, who we will now call Da Hood, and his League of Extraordinary They-Thems, who we'll get to later. And just in case for a moment you forgot that Riri Williams was a genius, they decide to remind you again.
I heard Riri Williams was a genius, but I said to myself, Parker, you gotta meet this kid up close.
Quick reminder, that was a line of dialogue that was written by a human, delivered by a human, sound edited by a human, edited by a human, and approved by a human, and actually released by other humans. After some slight apprehension, Riri Williams decides to knowingly join this criminal organization when they promise they don't hurt anybody.
Look, I don't want to hurt anyone.
It's not like that.
Okay, so what do?
Theft, extortion, breaking and entering.
See, it's fine. Now, most of the next 2 episodes dedicate an excruciating amount of time reconnecting Riri Williams with her dead best friend who's now an AI. So for the sake of your valuable time and our collective sanity, I'll try to get through this briefly. The one component Riri Williams needed to get her suit working again was an AI, which she was able to pull off after knowingly taking money from a criminal organization. While she was trying to replicate the AI of the isolationist ethno-state Wakanda, through plugging her brain into her laptop, she fell asleep thinking about her dead best friend, which manifested her into artificial intelligence. I think at this point it's prudent to point out Disney Marvel's efforts to show the lived experience of marginalized people. Because it turns out Riri's stepdad, Gary, and her friend Natalie were killed in a drive-by shooting.
Message!
And now Natalie is back as an AI and an acronym.
You could call me Neuro-Autonomous Technical Assistant and Laboratory Intelligence Entity instead.
Give me something for the pain and let me die.
Admittedly, the AI Natalie is a far more likable character than Riri Williams. What's the message there? Well, you'll have to ask Disney Marvel. And their scenes together can be summed up with this.
Bruh. You know nothing about this man. Don't laugh at me.
Best friend, that's my best friend. I know best friend, that's my best. Come on, go best friend, that's my best friend. Hi.
Now, will you upgrade the suit?
Now, Riri still needs some components for the suit she stole, and this brings us to the trademark Disney Marvel turning a formidable character from the comics into an ineffectual male. And it also might be one of the saddest examples of a downward career trajectory. Alden Ehrenreich, the former Han Solo from Solo, #Solo lost money, now playing, and we're just gonna cut to the chase on this one, Ezekiel Zeke Stane, son of Obadiah Stane, who keeps his pop's remains in a Ziploc bag.
The hell, Joe? Why is he in a baggie?
We weren't close.
And now the supervillain from the comic that looked like this now looks and acts like this.
Heather? Hey, neighbor.
Hello. Think you could stop letting your dog poop on my lawn?
Are you crying?
Sorry, sometimes it just happens. It's totally involuntary.
And then you come knocking on my door with that same iron energy. It's a non-starter, Riri.
Why is there a sweaty middle-aged white man at my door?
I'm 36, respectfully.
But at least there's a great bonding scene between Riri and Zeke to Alanis Morissette.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Now, I'm skipping past a couple of characters because they're too boring to mention, but the cast is rounded out with Da Hood's gang, the Groom Patrol. And most of them are based on characters from the comics that are changed just a little bit. There's Cousin John, who's John King. He doesn't look like his last name is King, but you never know. Then there's the Blood Siblings, who are based on the Blood Brothers, who started out looking like this in the comics. And while using some creative license, there's a slight variation from the source material. Now they're played by a couple of lesbians, who in a moment of rare accurate representation are shown in a flashback beating the hell out of each other. But let's keep in mind this is Disney Marvel, and of course they're the muscle, and they beat the hell out of every dude in the first 3 episodes. Then there's Clown, which is an appropriate name for a character in this show. Oh, and Eric Andre is in this for some reason, and I guess his career has seen better days, playing Rampage, again just a minor tweak from the comic books. He ends up dying, and his character arc is best summed up by my good friend Az's meme. And last but definitely not least, there's Shea Coulee's Slug, who looks like this in the comics, and I have to admit the resemblance is uncanny.
I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm kind of one of Madripoor's most wanted.
And for the 5s and 10s of people who actually watch this show, you may be surprised to find out that this is his first acting gig.
It's created by yours truly.
Old meets new on steroids. Wait a minute. I lost comms with Riri. Roll call. You there? Hello?
So after Da Hood and the Merry Suicide Squad pull off a series of capers robbing the rich, which is best described by everyone's pal Epic Mike on Twitter, all the action in the first 3 episodes of Ironheart are the poor disenfranchised innocent criminal gang beating up and shooting working class security guards, but they all work for billionaires, so it's justified. But what the Social Justice League doesn't know is Da Hood is in league with Mephisto. You know, the character that everyone thought was going to be in WandaVision until they found out that showrunner Jack Schaefer had never heard of him. Well, now they're going to waste him in this show, which is a shame because he's played by Sacha Baron Cohen, who coincidentally finally settled his divorce with Isla Fisher, and all he has to pay her is $75 million, and now we know why he took the gig. Anywho, along with extorting all these rich people, Da Hood is forcing them to sign a contract which I'm sure has something to do with their soul. You know, the thing that will be slowly draining out of anybody who's not a seasoned pro watching this. And to save what's left of mine, let's get this over with. After the super intelligent AI Natalie susses out eloquently that Da Hood is sketchy,
I sense some crazy energy radiating off Parker. I don't know what it is, but it ain't from around here. I think Parker is wrapped up in some sketchy shit.
I don't know what gave it away, possibly all the robbery, extortion, and attempted murder. The super genius Riri Williams comes up with an unnecessarily overcomplicated plan to get a piece of the Hood's cloak to see how it works. And she plans to do it during the Agents of Antifa's final caper, which of course goes sideways. By extorting Hunter Mason, an evil rich guy who just wants to grow food, Da Hood conveniently stands still while monologuing so Riri Williams can cut off a piece of his cape. She accidentally sets off an alarm and doesn't lift a finger while the Hood kills Hunter Mason, and then she f***s off so Da Hood can kill over a dozen working class security guards. Then she gets caught red-handed by Cousin John with a piece of cloak, who conveniently doesn't throw any of the knives he's specialized at throwing while fighting her, and then she leaves him to die. Our hero. But not to worry, because she feels really bad about her deliberate decision. And the last lines of episode 3 best describe the character of Riri Williams.
Bree, please talk to me. Good?
No! No, I'm not!
Well, folks, we're halfway there, and oh, we're living on a prayer, and Christ, this show is making me quote Bon Jovi. But hey, maybe this isn't the villain origin story that it looks like. I was told by the media literacy crowd that Riri Williams is on what is called a character arc. Maybe we'll see more development with the marginalized and underrepresented trans titans. And maybe, just maybe, we'll see something that Marvel fans, including yours truly, have wanted to see for a long time, even though they're wasting them in this show. Mephisto in action. I sure hope they don't have Sacha Baron Cohen sitting around tables with a fake beard on monologuing. Previously on Ironheart.
I wonder what Gary would think of the suit.
It really sucks.
I need cash. Money. Do you think Tony Stark would be Tony Stark if he wasn't a billionaire?
I need cash. Money. Do you think Tony Stark would be Tony Stark if he wasn't a billionaire? Billionaire?
I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm kind of one of Madripoor's most wanted. Toot.
You know nothing about this man, and you don't care because you only seeing money. You're going to get caught. Bree? Good?
No! No, I'm not!
Boring. We already knew that.
So after wasting the opportunity of being invited to an internship in the isolationist ethno-state of Wakanda, and following that wasting the opportunity of receiving 4 years of grant money post-graduation at MIT after being caught selling completed tests, all over wanting to build an iconic and undeniable Iron Man suit that's better than Tony Stark's, girl genius Riri Williams finds herself out of resources and money. Now, while she did consider going to work for a corporation so big they wouldn't notice when she stole stuff,
I need a job that pays. A lab so massive they don't notice if I finesse a resource here or there.
the greatest mind of a generation that's smarter than Hank Pym, Tony Stark, and Reed Richards combined, does not decide to sell the patents for the tech or the tech itself to corporations for potential millions, hundreds of millions, or hell billions. Riri Williams decides to forge ahead and make thousands by joining a criminal organization. Considering the vast majority of you won't be aware of this because you didn't watch the show, we ended the 3-episode premiere, which happened just a week ago, with Riri Williams being responsible for the death of at least 2 men, and then when she was asked if she was good, she said, no, I'm not. And I would agree, but this is where the media literate crowd from ex-Twitter will chime in and say it's all part of her character arc, which is the transformative journey a character undergoes throughout a story, reflecting their growth, change of perspective, or moral journey. And after watching the final 3 episodes that were, in truth, brutally boring yet filled with copious amounts of cringe, I can definitively say none of that happens. The 3-episode season finale that Marvel couldn't get out fast enough for you to forget picks up on the inaction with another nauseating conversation between Riri and Natalie. Riri still feels really bad for leaving Uncle John behind to die, but Natalie rationalizes it with this.
You did what you had to do to survive. John would have done the same.
And she's right, that's what John would do because he's a villain. Now, maybe it's my media illiteracy and I'm just too dumb to understand, but I seem to recall countless times throughout all of storytelling where the hero has at least attempted to save the villain. Now, Riri is rightfully paranoid that the Hood is plotting something because he thinks she killed John. I don't know what gave it away. Maybe it was him looking her right in the face and saying, I got plans for you.
Parker, you got anything for me?
Yeah. I got plans for you.
Now, after spending a good chunk of the 3rd episode trying to get a piece of the Hood's cloak that cost 12 men and women their lives, Riri accidentally left a piece of tech that she borrowed from Zeke staying behind that got him arrested and blamed for their crimes. Then Riri visits Zeke in jail and he gives a perfect description of our hero's character.
You're just a selfish kid who can't take any responsibility for herself. You lie, you cheat, you manipulate. You'll do anything you can to save yourself, even if that means hurting other people in the process.
He ain't lying.
And if that wasn't enough, in a rare and fleeting moment of self-awareness, Riri Williams goes to her NPC boyfriend Xavier and asks this.
So do you think I'm a good person? Never mind.
I like where they're going with this. It might have led to some character development. Unfortunately, it leads to some intersectional postmodern gobbledygook.
Good, bad, them words don't really mean anything. It's all depending on who's labeling you.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
But wait! There's more!
You're like... Spock.
Spock.
Keep
Spock's
name out your fucking mouth!
As with all fanfiction, this series is filled with a nauseating amount of boring, inane conversations between Riri and her mom, Riri and Natalie, and Riri and Xavier, all in some desperate hope to get the audience to like the insufferable, unlikable character, with the added bonus of an excessive amount of dramatic pauses to pad time for watch minutes. And if you cut all that out, because it's completely pointless in these final 3 episodes, you have about 15 minutes, and I use the term loosely, of substance. Anywho, Riri needs to find the source of power for that piece of the Hood that she has, so she and her mom go to a sweet, book and magic shop, which just so happens to be run by her crystal hippie friend. And in Disney Marvel's continued efforts to show the lived experience of marginalized people, we find out the crystal hippie mom is a sorceress who trained in Kamara Taj, where Doctor Strange trained. She got knocked up and baby daddy went out to Kathmandu to get some Newports and never came back. And showing her questionable parenting skills, she decided to leave Kamara Taj and raise her daughter in Chicago. And apparently both of them have the power to travel to other dimensions. Well, that's handy. I wonder if it comes up later. The crystal hippie mom and her daughter Zelma, who is from the Disney Marvel era of comics, figure out that the piece of Dahood's cloak is evil and it's from a dark dimension. If it wasn't bad enough that Riri got Zeke arrested, she decides to break and f*** up his silo while she's trying to figure out what that piece of Dahood is. She can't figure it out and decides that she needs to fight magic. With magic, she takes off and has a panic attack, has trouble breathing, all so we could get this subtle reference.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Meanwhile, Dahood breaks Zeke Stain out of jail and ironically has the drag queen transition him into a supervillain, which means Ironheart now has 3 supervillain origin stories. Hell, they should have called this Bring On the Bad Guys. Then Dahood orders the Trans Titans to kill Riri, and quite frankly, I'm rooting for them. After what feels like the 50th spat between Natalie and Riri, the acronym AI Bestie takes off and gets abducted by the drag queen and put into a van. Meanwhile, over at the White Castle, Riri is meeting with Zelma discussing the possible connections between Dahood and Dormammu.
It's Dormammu.
I know. Some people say Dormammu, I say Dormammu. Deal with it. And stop me if you've heard this one before: a male presenting non-binary female and a lesbian walk into a White Castle and get violent. Hell, the only thing missing was a restraining order and a U-Haul. Anyway, once again, in Disney Marvel's continuous efforts to spotlight representation and show the lived experience of marginalized people, I present to you women of color throwing down in a fast food restaurant. It's here we unfortunately have to stop what is the very entertaining action to point out a couple of things. Yes, the big bad butches overtake the 90-pound soaking wet Riri Williams, and when they let her know she's about to die, Riri says this.
That headline tomorrow's gonna be rough. Girl genius dies.
My death won't make the news.
Well, damn, that was dark.
But then Riri traps them when they step on one of her watches that has a bubble force field in it, which was the same watch that she gave to Xavier that he gave back to her, and she gave another to a mother, and this brings something to mind. And I'm just spitballing here, but maybe Riri Williams could have sold the patent for this technology or the useful technology itself to, say, a corporation for hundreds of millions of dollars or even billions of dollars instead of joining a criminal organization to make thousands of dollars. Anywho, now that the Indigo Girls are trapped in a force field bubble, it's back to the woman of color on woman of color action in a fast food establishment. Meanwhile, Natalie and Riri's suit are able to escape the Slug, reconnect with Riri in the most hilarious scene in the series.
I got eyes on her.
Well, I guess Slug does one thing like a woman: drive. And after Riri scares off and sees Slug for the last time, she has a truly visceral and authentic reaction. Then Zeke Stain shows up, and I know it's subtle, but through my keen sense of observation, I was able to surmise that this episode is brought to you by White Castle. Outside of the White Castle, that serves delicious burgers and fries and assorted beverages, whose mission statement is to create memorable moments every day and feed the souls of craver generations everywhere, a young black woman gets the shit out of her by a white man. Zeke Stain was freed from jail and transitioned into a superhero by Dahood. In return, he was supposed to kill Riri, but decides not to, and then through a series of events too boring to recount, we end up at Gary's shop. where Riri needs to build another suit and the writers insist on another boring, inane interpersonal drama scene. And we are treated to something reminiscent of the memory store from Doctor Strange Mom, a full holographic memory of Riri's childhood from the AI Natalie. And the only reason I tell you about this, and apologies, I know I'm being a bit of a nitpicker here, wouldn't you say that this technology, which was admittedly stolen from the isolationist ethno-state of Wakanda, be, I don't know, valuable in any way? And maybe you could, again, hear me out, sell it for billions of dollars instead of joining a criminal organization? Also, we're well over halfway through the 5th episode of the series. Let's check in on that Riri Williams character arc.
You good? No, I'm not good.
Meanwhile, back at the Hood, the X-Them figure out that the Hood killed Eric Andre. Then they get fired with a line that should apply to everyone involved in this show, from the executives down to the janitor.
You're fired. All of you. Why are you still standing there?
And before they them leave us, let's take one last look at the Social Justice Society. Books will be written, tales will be told, how the highest grossing cinematic franchise of all time went from this to this. The absolute state of Disney Marvel. Then arguably the most offensive thing happens in this hate crime against imagination when they had the unmitigated gall to utter and invert one of the greatest lines from one of the greatest films of all time.
Hey, black people. Reporting for duty, Captain. My friend. I can only say this. Of all the souls I've encountered on my travels, hers was the most human.
Oh, come on!
Shut up.
Now that the Hood has gotten rid of the offenders, he has taken control of Zeke Stain and forced his own father to sign one of those contracts that we'll get to. The Hood is the son of a venture capitalist who kicked him out when he was 12, obviously for good reason. We are told through a series of flashbacks that it was his first attempt to rob his father, where he runs across Mephisto, played by Sacha Baron Cohen, who again just had to pay $75 million to his ex-wife, Isla Fisher. Why does divorce cost so much? Because it's worth every penny. And for some, there's some Marvel role out there that can help cover the costs. Now, Riri Williams, the super genius, has decided the only way to defeat the Hood is to deconstruct her dad's exquisite 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda, which are worth a few bucks in this condition, and far be it from me to point out that you could probably sell it instead of joining a criminal organization, but I digress. They managed to make an ugly suit out of a beautiful car, but it's still missing a power source, and instead of displaying Riri Williams' once-in-a-generation intellect, they just fix it with magic. This probably has a lot to do with unintelligent writers being unable to write intelligent people, and never mind the fact that it completely undercuts what there is of Riri Williams' story, but if it gets it over quicker, I'm for it. And it turns out the magic comes at a cost. It wipes out the Natalie AI, and I see this as a win-win. Riri Williams easily defeats Zeke Stain with the on-brand MCU kicking a male character in the balls.
Clean glove.
And right after, the Hood speaks some truth.
You were so sure that you were one of the good ones. But now look at you. You have your fancy suit, but you're not gonna use it to stop a speeding train or save a city from an asteroid. No, you just want this power for yourself. You're a criminal.
Then she easily defeats him in under 5 minutes.
Barely an inconvenience.
This brings us to Mephisto, or Sacha Baron Cohen in a fake beard sitting at tables.
Guilty as charged.
Now, he is by far the best thing in the show, but it's still not good. But we do get a peek at the real Mephisto from the comics in a reflection in a spoon. He attempts to manipulate Riri Williams into making a deal with some very familiar words.
I help people realize their wildest ambitions. People like you.
People like me.
Someone who, due to no fault of their own, finds themselves always at the short end of the stick. And that's why I'm here, to help the unseen, the the unheard.
Sounds like the modern Democrat Party. In the end, Riri Williams makes a deal with Mephisto to get her friend Natalie back in the flesh. And this is where Riri Williams officially becomes a villain and completing her villain origin story by making a deal with Mephisto, who turned out to be the hero by doing the Lord's work and putting Riri's soul where it belongs. And yes, that's where it ends, on a cliffhanger that includes a post-credit scene because somebody who was working on this show was under the impression they were going to get a season 2.
Racism and Marvel's Ironheart. I'll be damned.
Actually, Riri will be damned, but I digress. I have to agree here with Dr. Rashad from the Young Turks featuring Cenk Uygur.
I would legalize bestiality where you are pleasuring the animal.
Considering Riri Williams is depicted as a liar, a cheat, and a thief who forgoes the privilege of a free education and forgoes the opportunity of using her genius intellect to make billions so she could join a criminal organization and make thousands, and then putting her in the setting of the South Side of Chicago, which is totally not known for its high murder rate, and having her stepfather and her best friend get killed in a drive-by shooting. This is absolutely the most racist thing Marvel has ever made, despite the fact that Ironheart was produced, written, and directed by marginalized people.
Ryan Coogler is a producer. Because Zinzi Coogler is a producer. Because Chinaka Hodge is a black woman, our writer. Because Sam Bailey and Angela Barnes are black women, our directors.
It's directed by 2 black women. It's relying on those voices to tell the story.
I'll take it one step further and blame the white guy because Kevin Feige should have Batgirled this. But I'm guessing he didn't want to risk the political capital of pissing off Ryan Coogler, who essentially took their Blade movie and made it into Sinners. A film I would like to point out did not get review bombed, and if you go back a little further, neither did Wakanda Forever. Apparently, everybody just got the memo on Ironheart. A villain origin story with a black female lead, and to solidify this fact, one thing I didn't point out because I didn't catch it till later, was she decided to keep the cloak from the hood on her armor. And yes, they were setting up Riri Williams, the girl genius, to outsmart the devil in the season 2 that we are, unfortunately for YouTubers anyway, never gonna get. But again, there is one thing Ironheart did accomplish. It was the single most accurate depiction of a Disney Marvel character in a Disney Marvel TV show or film, and the perfect representation of a DEI character. And that is not a good thing. Now, while Echo was Marvel going off the reservation, Ironheart was giving it a black eye. Because while most people on planet Earth thankfully did not watch this series, a great many of them heard about it. So despite Disney Marvel trying to bury this show, the damage is done. And as far as successes go in 2025, Disney Marvel is 0 for 4, and we all know what's up next. And the only question left is Ironheart as bad as Echo, Secret Invasion, or the Marvels? While Secret Invasion was absolutely awful, you can understand conceptually why they would go ahead with a series featuring the Skrulls and Nick Fury. While I despised Captain Marvel, you could understand why they would make a sequel to an inexplicable billion-dollar film. I would say its closest comrade is Echo, but at least that was based on a character that people at least liked in the comic books, and it was going to feature Daredevil and Kingpin. Of course, those all turned out to be shit, but at least conceptually, you could understand why they made them. Ironheart should have never happened. So an argument can be made that it's the worst Disney Marvel ever made. And that leads to a final question as I let you go. How do you expect Kevin Feige, the man who helped build the MCU and then helped create all of its problems, to turn around and fix them?
Nerdrotic.com.
If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I will see you in the next video.